Area health departments look back on their pandemic response and what could have been different.
An historic summit between President Biden and Russian President Putin is in the books. I'm Natalie Brand with the key issues discussed and when President Biden says we'll know if it was a success.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
More than a year into the pandemic, some local health departments are taking a look at how their responses have stacked up. This is KOAM News at 5. We spoke with officials at the Crawford County and Newton County Health Departments. They had different areas they felt needed the most improvement. In Crawford County, it was volunteers and staffing, improving how they used everyone. For Newton County, it was technology.
When we had the numbers spike rapidly, we found that we needed more computer programs, space, more programs that would help us to file and track and enter the data into the computer systems.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from both departments more on their responses to the pandemic. A historic downtown Joplin building is being transformed back into a hotel. The Robertson Hotel was first opened in 1917 and served as a bustling part of downtown Joplin into the early 2000s. It's been closed for a number of years, but it's about to get a new lease on life. Radisson Hotel Group Americas just signed the building onto their Radisson Individuals line of hotels. It'll have 55 rooms and suites, a fitness center, and a 1,200 square foot meeting space.
It'll be 1917 looking, but it'll have all the high tech stuff of today. So it's pretty exciting to get to bring that back.
The company hopes to have renovations complete by fall of this year. Tonight at 6, we're going to hear some of the history of the building and look at the impact the renovation could have on downtown. Checking in with Doug Heady, the heat goes on.
It does. A little bit hotter even for us today as temperatures have been slowly climbing over the past couple days, but still we've had mostly sunny skies. Few little clouds on the Missouri side where an isolated little pop-up shower thunderstorm may try to get going as we work into the evening hours, but most of us will stay dry. Besides that, nothing is going on due to this big ridge of high pressure out across the central parts of the Rockies, mainly keeping us hot and fairly dry. We're definitely hot. Temperatures 93, 94, 95 degrees, but then you factor in the humidity, which has been creeping back up the past couple days. It feels like about 100 across the region. Through the evening hours, we drop back through the 90s, 80s, 70s. We bottom out near 70 a little bit later on tonight. We are going to look at some rain chances and cooler temperatures in the forecast here in just a bit.
All right, see you then. Thanks, Doug. Both U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed their relationship is at a low point as they went into today's summit in Switzerland. After less than 4 hours of discussions, the two sides signaled the door is open to find common ground on a range of issues such as cybersecurity. Reporter Natalie Brand has more on what could be the most consequential meeting of Mr. Biden's presidency.
The historic summit between President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin began with a handshake, then ended with planned separate news conferences, starting with Putin, who called the talks constructive.
I think that both of these sides showed a willingness to understand one another.
President Biden described the tone as positive.
It's clearly not in anybody's interest, your country's or mine, for us to be in a situation where we're in a new Cold War.
Inside an 18th century villa in Geneva, the two leaders sat down with their top diplomats, followed by expanded talks with additional aides. Afterwards, both sides agreed to return their ambassadors to their posts in each other's countries in the future and to restart dialogue on nuclear arms and weapon systems. Heading into this summit, the White House tempered expectations, but said the goal was to talk about areas of possible cooperation and also clearly lay out the red lines. Issue number one, a series of cyber attacks on U.S. entities blamed on Russian actors.
I talked about the proposition that certain critical infrastructure should be off limits to attack, period.
Also human rights, including the imprisonment of Putin's political opponent, Alexei Navalny.
What did you say would happen if opposition leader Alexei Navalny dies?
I made it clear to him that I believe the consequences of that would be devastating for Russia.
The summit was slightly shorter than expected. President Biden says the test of whether it was a success will be revealed in the coming months. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden says he also brought up the imprisonment of Americans Paul Whelan and Trevor Reed in Russia during today's summit and added he will not walk away from that issue. When asked about the possibility of a so-called exchange of prisoners, Mr. Putin said both sides might be able to find compromise. Israel launched airstrikes on the Gaza Strip today, the first bombings since last month's major conflict ended in a ceasefire. Israel's military says it's payback after Palestinian militants released balloons with explosives across the border, setting fire to dry fields in Israel. Palestinians accuse Israel of escalating tensions with yesterday's controversial march of Jewish nationalists celebrating Israel's capture of Jerusalem in 1967. No casualties have been reported in these attacks. Still ahead, the vaccine push after passing 600,000 COVID deaths.
There's a new reinvigorated effort incentivizing Americans to get their COVID vaccines. I'm Skylar Henry with the latest on this nationwide push from top officials.
And next in Health, watch what new research shows about vaccine effectiveness for organ transplant patients. New research is promising for organ transplant patients. A Johns Hopkins study finds patients who receive a third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine could boost their protection. Reporter Elise Preston has more.
Jillian Ladd received a new kidney and pancreas 3 years ago, so the double organ recipient has been especially vigilant trying to protect herself in the pandemic.
I'm already compromised, and I've already been navigating the world in a much more cautious way.
Transplant patients take medications to suppress their immune systems to prevent rejection, which can impact their responses to vaccines. Jillian got 2 doses of the COVID vaccine when she could. Then came disappointment.
I had not mounted any measurable antibodies.
She took part in a study at Johns Hopkins Medicine, tracking 30 transplant patients receiving a third dose of the vaccine. 1/3 who had negative antibody levels after 2 doses had an increase after the third dose. All patients who had low levels of antibodies increased their immune response after the booster.
The real impact of our somewhat preliminary findings is a glimmer of hope that we will be able to achieve an immune response in immunosuppressed people.
Dr. Dori Segev led the study. His previous research shows half of transplant patients don't show any antibody response after 2 doses of the vaccine, and the half that do have lower levels than people with normal immune systems.
I'm quite confident that we will figure out for transplant patients how to give them protection. This is not the time right now to be celebrating the freedoms that come with the vaccine yet.
Jillian is now positive for antibodies.
The parents of my donor decided so graciously to give me a second chance at life. So nothing was going to stop me from getting the vaccine.
And she's hopeful for the future. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Now, researchers say there are risks associated with getting a third shot, and it hasn't been carefully studied, so they're keeping a close watch on it. A warning about chemicals in your makeup. A study in Environmental Science and Technology Letters found potentially toxic polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAs, in most mascara, lipstick, and foundation products. The study warns people could ingest the substances through their mouth or skin. Scientists say some PFAs are linked to cancer and other diseases. A report says taxing sweetened drinks and food does lead to people consuming them less. The study in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at a 2017 sugar tax in Philadelphia. They found purchases of sweetened drinks dropped 42% at stores that charged more. The decrease was especially significant in lower income communities. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Judek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about heart failure signs.
Plus, temperatures continue to get hotter over the next few days. We're going to look at that coming up.
The KOAM.
Well, it keeps getting a little bit hotter each day this week so far. High temps back up into the mid-90s across the region, and our humidity has been creeping up as well. So we continue to heat up, high heat indices over the next few days, but we do have some relief in sight. We're going to get a cold front in here Sunday night into Monday, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms and cooling back down just a bit. Of course, you can always get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. It's hot. Most of us across the board sitting 93, 94, even 97s as you get out towards Chanute, Parsons, Neodesha, 95 and Independence. And our humidity has been going up. Our dew points right around 70 to about 72. This measures how much moisture is in the atmosphere, so it puts us right in that muggy range. And we're going to be sitting in between that muggy and soupy range as we go through the next couple days. Heat indices right now feels like 100 to about 102 across the region. So very hot, very humid. Looks okay. We have mostly clear skies. We're looking at 7th and range line. Currently 93, feels like 100. Winds are light out of the north. Relative humidity is at 49%. Through the evening hours, we slip back through the 90s, 80s, 70s, eventually near 70 later on tonight. We do have to watch for a few isolated little pop-up showers or thunder showers on the Missouri side over the next couple hours, but most of us will stay dry. You can see a few little cumulus clouds trying to pop up, so these may fire off an isolated thunderstorm or two, but in general, that's it. Not much going on. This is all due to our big dome, a high pressure, but every now and then we get these weak little waves that rotate around it, and that's what gives us the very slight chance to get a pop-up storm. Anything that would pop up would be gone very quickly. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Let's go into the daytime hours tomorrow. We'll stop in the afternoon. Hot, humid, maybe a degree warmer than today. 71 to start, 91 by noon, 96 during the afternoon, and again, an extremely slight chance for an isolated little thunderstorm. Tomorrow night looks okay. On Friday, most of the storms stay to our north. So I'm going to keep us dry on Friday, but you can see some pop-up storms near Kansas City, just mainly for us, hot and humid once again. Still, storms mainly to our north as we head into Saturday, and then by Sunday, that's when we start to get some better chances for showers and thunderstorms. Heat indices up there again, 100 to about 102 tomorrow, and then even on Friday, back up into lower triple digits again. So everything that we've seen over the past couple days, we're going to continue to see. Let's go down the road. Here's the weekend. Some tropical moisture, but it stays southeast of us. That's why we stay dry. So we have to wait until late Sunday. Here comes a cold front. So scattered showers and thunderstorms. It pushes through. Here's Monday. Leftover showers, but much cooler temperatures start to filter in. So Monday and Tuesday look great, and then we'll start to warm back up the second half of next week. 96 tomorrow, 96 Friday, 93 Saturday, 94 on Father's Day with some late day thunderstorms. Look at Monday, a high of 79. Wow. 80 on Tuesday, 84 on Wednesday. So we're going to get rewarded here in a few days.
That'll certainly be welcome.
Yeah, it's going to feel great.
Thanks, Doug. Heat wave is straining Texas's energy resources, creating a second potential power crisis only 4 months after the last one. Millions of customers, you'll recall, lost power during a winter cold snap, leading to burst water pipes and severe damage. Well, now the grid's manager, known as ERCOT, wants people to limit power use until Friday to avoid another emergency at the same time as temperatures reach triple digits in some areas. In a press call, ERCOT pointed the blame at the specific companies supplying the state's energy. An expert says the plants that are failing are the traditional ones, the coal, nuclear, and natural gas plants. Coming up, health officials step up vaccination efforts as more states begin to reopen. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Gregory Hildreth served in the U.S. Navy from 1974 to 1990. His hometown, Carl Junction, Missouri, and we salute Gregory Hildreth, a four-state hero.
Doug Heading, Roper Honda.
Consumers are expected to spend more than $20 billion on Father's Day. That's about $3 billion more than last year and would be a record high, according to the National Retail Federation. The simple card still reigns supreme. 59% say they'll toast Dad via the written word. Nearly half of those celebrating will spend more money on outings, clothing, and electronics this year. The U.S. has now surpassed 600,000 lives lost to the coronavirus, the highest official death toll in the world by far. The grim milestone comes as states continue to take steps towards normalcy. Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
Just one day after marking the state's reopening, California Governor Gavin Newsom visited a Six Flags theme park in LA County, offering free tickets to the next 50,000 people who roll up their sleeves.
You get a single dose of vaccine, one of these 65 locations in 13 different counties. You will get a free ticket. You cannot sell that ticket. It is not transferable.
Governor Newsom rolled out this new incentive as the nation surpassed 600,000 deaths from COVID-19, despite progress in vaccinations.
Once you get enough people vaccinated, the virus is going to have no place to go.
The more contagious Delta variant now makes up about 10% of the cases in the U.S.
It's concerning because it spreads clearly more efficiently than the one that we've been normally dealing with, and it tends to look like it might even be more serious in making people ill.
At least 14 states and Washington, D.C. have hit President Biden's goal of having 70% of U.S. adults at least partially vaccinated by Independence Day. New York has already hit that benchmark, and throughout the state last night, fireworks shows lit up the sky marking the state's reopening. On Wednesday, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced a new incentive for residents who haven't gotten a shot yet.
You sign up to get vaccinated, you can now win $2,500. Yes, $2,500 directly, debit cards.
Members of the Biden administration, including Vice President Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, were tapped to make public appearances across the South this week to stress the importance of getting vaccinated. The Vice President will end the tour with a visit to Atlanta on Friday. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Our pet vet on call next.
I'm really having an experience here. This is.
The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from area health departments about how they responded to the pandemic and what they learned from it. Plus, 2 people in southwest Missouri are dead following separate UTV accidents. And Carl Junction's police chief announces his retirement after 16 years in that position. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Age catches up with all of us eventually, including our pets. Today's question for our pet vet on call: what do signs of heart failure look like in senior dogs?
They look the same as they look in people. At first, there's coughing, there's difficulty breathing, there's exercise intolerance. As it progresses, they get weak and lose a lot of weight. And then when they go into end-stage heart failure, then they have anxiety and severe distress because they're literally suffocating in their own fluids. The good news is that there are several medications that help your dog live a much longer life and much more quality. So see your veterinarian if that's what you're thinking.
We invite questions from anyone. If you have one, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question every Wednesday right here on KOAM News at 5. You can also find answers to previous questions on our website. Now our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we've chosen this 2 to 3-year-old female hound mix named Audrey. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we've chosen a 1-year-old male cat named Jasper. If you're looking for a pet, remember, might as well check out your local Humane Society. They always have lots of pets available, maybe just what you're looking for. It's hot out there, Doug.
It is. Heat indices right now about 100 to 102 across the region. This is going to continue over the next few days. 96 tomorrow, 96 on Friday, 93 on Saturday, and then some thunderstorms Sunday into Monday, and that will cool us back down to very pleasant weather early next week.
Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other and make it a great evening.